WWE 2K22 had a lot riding on its release. The previous game, WWE 2K20, was developed by Visual Concepts, released in 2019 after longtime developer Ukes finally called it quits. 2K20 was easily the worst mainstream wrestling game in 20 years. It was so broken that it got the whole gaming community laughing at it, forcing publisher 2K to cancel the next year's game in favour of building a new one from the ground up. Back in 2019, I called it. I knew the game was going to be bad the second I'd read online that instead of using a pretty polished version of the game engine used for 2K19, Visual Concepts were using the WWE 2K18 version, a game I spent a lot of time with and one which I knew could be fundamentally broken at least 60% of the time. 2K20 took these game and immersion breaking bugs and multiplied them by 100, and it was really bad. So for 2020 and 2021, we didn't see a mainline WWE 2K game, and instead we got WWE 2K Battlegrounds, a game nobody remembers. Suffice to say, 2K22 was shaping up to be the breaking point, especially since WWE had already threatened 2K with taking away the rights to make their games, and fans were not appreciative of being largely ignored over the past few years neither. I myself had already given up on the franchise. I thought we weren't getting any proper substance to the games year after year, and even 2K19 couldn't keep my attention for longer than 3 months, so I skipped 2K20, which proved to be a great decision, and as a result I even skipped 2K22, as I didn't trust Visual Concepts and damn sure didn't trust 2K neither. I did keep an eye on it though and watched a few videos surrounding the game when it came out, and to be quite honest, this game's graphics do not impress me, even now. No, it's not last generation hardware holding this back, because every game from 2K15 up to 2K19 all look better than it, in my opinion. There's something just wrong about the way Visual Concepts makes these games look, because even when it was fixed, 2K20 didn't impress neither. I had zero interest in this game, and I'm sure a lot of others felt the same way. Fast forward almost 1 year later, January 2023. WWE 2K22 comes out for free on the PlayStation Plus subscription service, so obviously I picked it up and played the game for a straight 2 weeks. It surprised me. I will even go as far as to say it's the best wrestling game in years. But how did Visual Concepts accomplish this? How did they manage to convince me, probably the most jaded fan, to rate this game so highly? In this video, I will explain how WWE 2K22 revived the series, but also how it slipped up. I am Sly Geordie, and this is WWE 2K22 1 year later. So where do we begin? Well, obviously at the start. The first time I booted up the game, the first thing you'll notice is that the soundtrack kicks butt. Say what you want about Machine Gun Kelly, but the guy has a good taste in music, a very good taste in music. We have songs from the man himself, recent WWE competitor Bad Bunny, and Bring Me the Horizon, whose song Happy Song belongs on the same album as Run, which was in 2K17. Just a fun fact for you there. So you press start and you see the usual suspects: Universe Mode, Showcase, Online, etc. But there are only 2 new modes. MyRISE replaces My Career Mode this year, and is that? No way. It took them over a decade, but 2K22 boasts the begged for return of General Manager Mode, aptly named MyGM, in this new game. So already, we have a game that totally feels new. These aren't the same modes as the last few entries. These have the potential to give out totally new experiences, and that alone instantly gives 2K22 an advantage over its past iterations. My first order of business was to play a match. You also get a tutorial, because guess what? We get a new control scheme this year, pretty much. I, for one, don't like change, but to be fair to it, it really does help the game feel different, and it also adds a new layer of complexity to the matches we play. I assume it also makes online 1v1s a lot easier too, so they don't become so one-sided as they usually could in previous entries. To give them credit with the tagline, the game really does hit different. I still prefer the old 2K scheme from 2K16 to 19, but I can't really lie, it's definitely helping this game actually feel different from the others when you have a new combat system to toy with. And feeling different is what this series desperately needed. Okay, so spoiler warning for this section, so feel free to skip ahead using the YouTube chapters feature. Here we go. The career mode for a WWE game will always be the main selling point for any game. If done right, you can get years worth of playtime from a good experience. Of course, we can name the greats like SmackDown, Just Bring It, Here Comes the Pain, and of course, the GOAT, SmackDown vs Raw 2007, but even 2K are no strangers to releasing a good career mode, with WWE 2K16 being an all-time fan favourite, especially with all the YouTubers that played that game. 2K17 was also one of these games in terms of YouTube. Despite it being broken, it was insanely influential on YouTube. It pulled a lot of views. 2K22's MyRISE is a career mode that pulls inspiration mainly from SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, with a lot of the concept stemming from 2K19 to become almost perfection with this game. I really enjoyed my time with this, and even when you complete one side of the mode, you could turn heel/face to do even more, and then make a new character as the opposite gender to do even more. Trust me, there is a lot of content here, and it's of course amazing to see women get attention in this game. We have come a long way from the days of WWE 2K15, where we were not even able to create a female superstar at all. Truly great stuff, great work, visual concepts. You know how to do equality, already better than Ukes. So, obviously when you enter the mode, you're greeted with a Create a Superstar mode where, unfortunately, the My Player Wizard from 2K18 still exists. Look, visual concepts. Not a single person liked this feature then, and we certainly don't like it now. There is no need to restrict character customization because most of us like to have the ability to spend a lot of time really making sure we create the superstar that we want. Please remove My Player Wizard for 2K23. I know the game's already out by the time the video comes out, so let's cross our fingers and hope it's not there. I hate it, and I'm sure a lot of the community shares that sentiment also. As you can see, you start in the Performance Center. We can't choose a voice for our character, so we get stuck with this.
Oh, that Corey. I guess when we were emailing, I just saw your name and assumed that... You know what? It's nice to meet you in person finally.
He's alright, I suppose, but we've had better. AJ Kirsch, I hope I didn't completely butcher that name, but he was the voice actor for Buzz, our main character in 2K19, and he did a pretty good job. I wouldn't have minded having him as our voice again, or even the 2K16 one, but apparently this game is in the same universe as 2K19 and 20, so that's why Hot Dog Man or whatever is here, I suppose. You get this annoying piece of dirt, Paragon J. Pierce, who is supposed to be this year's Baron Blade, I guess. There's also Hector Flores, who is involved in one of the best stories in the game, in my opinion, involving a previous character from the 2K19 My Career, El Margo. He's El Margo's prodigal son, and the storyline is mwah, amazing. Yeah, there's storylines in this game, and through these social media apps, you can go after any title you want as long as you choose the right storyline. There's choice. There's no overwhelming grind like 2K17 where it take you 2 real-life weeks to get an Intercontinental title shot. True story, by the way, you can check my channel for verification. It's not a linear story neither, like 2K19 and 20. You take it at your own pace. Choose your own route, and honestly, the only thing they really need to add for the next game is branching storylines. They have a set number of storylines for each brand and both moralities. There are also extra challenges, but you don't really feel the need to do any of that until the end game, I assume. But with 10 save slots, I personally wouldn't ever do any of them. So you can do storylines told through specially made cutscenes and a social media app in NXT, SmackDown and Raw, but what else? Well, of course there is competition outside of WWE on the indie circuit, but if you told me we would have the opportunity to face The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in a handicap match in our imaginations, as well as Bret Hart as its own storyline, I'd have laughed in your face. But here it is. This is awesome. My time with the game was relatively short, but I did storylines such as being forced to winning the NXT title against Finn Balor, confined to a few minutes because of a clause in his contract, buried Keith Lee and embarrassing him endlessly, winning the Mixed Match Challenge to become GM of SmackDown for a night, giving myself a title shot and then failing to win, and of course I won Money in the Bank too. There are multiple other storylines in this game that TJ has told me about, such as the Seth Rollins Messiah storyline, which he speaks very highly of. I didn't finish the mode because I've been very busy this year getting a job and of course playing other games, but I am 100% definitely planning to revisit 2K22 after finishing with the next game, that's for sure. MyRISE being so good this year, or last year rather, is what has pushed me to want to buy 2K23. So let's hope that game builds on this amazing foundation. Brainbuster again! Oh my god! A decapitation of Keith Lee! 1, 2, 3, 6-0. Okay, so cutting in a little bit here, just before we start to talk about MyGM, I have to talk about a huge glaring issue with the control scheme, and that is ladder matches are straight up just a frustration to play, especially with something as high stakes on the line as the Money in the Bank briefcase. Money in the Bank matches were very stressful and frustrating anyways, you know, so much so in like games like 2K16 and 17, I personally would play on Legend most of the time, but as soon as a Money in the Bank ladder match came up, I'd play that shit on easy because I just didn't want to deal with the stress. Obviously I ended up bumping the difficulty up to hard on 2K22, and I decided to give the ladder match a chance, the Money in the Bank match a chance, and oh my god, with this new control scheme, it is so stressful. I'm going to save time right now explaining it, and instead literally just show you the clip of my commentary over it when I was, you know, playing the game with TJ in a PlayStation party. Pretty much, I don't say it in a much better, I can't say it in a much better way than in the heat of the moment. So yeah, have a listen. This control scheme fucking sucks. Climb! Climb, please! You're telling me you can't grab that? Grab it, you fucking nut! Oh my god. Yes! Suck my fucking cock, Visual Concepts, you shit bastards! Change it fucking back! I don't care about the rest of the control scheme, but that ladder system is fucking stupid. 3 different buttons for what was the same fucking button in the last 15 years. That should not have been that stressful. Holy fucking shit.
Coming at me fucking going on. Chloe.
I'm sorry, but 3 different button combinations for the same fucking thing virtually. It was just L1 in the past games. I understand changing the rest, but that is ridiculous. You're making it so much more stressful than it needs to be. So essentially, if you didn't get the context of that, in previous games L1 would have you pick up the ladder, set the ladder, drop it, etc. In this game, that's 3 different button prompts. So it's a whole different button entirely to climb the ladder or set it or drop it or whatever. Like, it made it so much more stressful because obviously I'm still learning the controls, but it shouldn't be 3 different button prompts. Again, I said it just right in that clip. They made it so much more stressful than it needs to be. Like, I got so angry, and in my opinion, I was quite justified in that anger. The control scheme for ladder matches has been completely butchered. It's so much more frustrating than it really should be. Alright, so here we go. Finally here to talk about the return of General Manager Mode, named MyGM this year. And just like MyRISE, we have 10 save slots. That is incredible. So of course you have this first little cutscene here with Stephanie McMahon narrating the thing. It sounds really weird to hear her say MyGM. And it's also really weird that we can end up controlling Stephanie McMahon, like choosing Stephanie McMahon as our character in the GM mode, even though she's narrating it. And then, you know, when you complete the GM mode, you get this final cutscene, and it's like she's patting herself on the back. Like, it's like she's looking in a mirror and like saying, "You're the best." Like, it's really, really weird, but bit of a diversion there. Just like the GM modes of old, you actually you start with the draft, which is so awesome, man. The draft was probably my favorite part of starting GM mode in like SmackDown vs Raw. And the cool thing about this is, just like in those old days, you can also do it with 2 players. So it's just like the General Manager games of old with how you do your drafts and stuff. You've got contracts still, but there are some different things here. The GM mode has these like little chemistry things. You know, so brawlers work well with whatever. Like, I don't exactly remember, it's been a while since I played the game, but a certain characteristic works well with another characteristic. Faces work well with heels, and yeah, those get the best ratings. I do think this is a little off in some aspects, because I do think in a lot of aspects faces can work well against other faces, and heels can work well against other heels. You know, John Cena and Daniel Bryan, both faces, they work together really well back in the day, 2013 if I remember rightly. The Undertaker and Triple H, The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, if you remember those old WrestleMania matches. Like, it works, you know. But it doesn't in the General Manager mode, so regardless, those matches will not be any good. Same goes with Bayley and Sasha Banks. It's a bit confusing in that aspect, but whatever. You get to actually decide like some production type stuff. So you get to decide like what stadiums you have, the production crew, the pyrotechnics and stuff like that. That was something I don't remember being in SmackDown vs Raw, so that's amazing. They do try to innovate on General Manager mode in some aspects, although I do think overall SmackDown vs Raw is just a little better. But I feel like in 2K23 they could really make it a lot better. Again, 2K23 is out right now. I've not seen anything about it. You know, I'm just making this video without any knowledge of that game. So hopefully 2K23 has refined GM mode a bit more. I think some things they should add. SmackDown vs Raw had, I'm talking 2007 for example, you had your little sub shows. So you not only had Raw and SmackDown, you had Heat and Velocity, you know. So it would be cool for NXT to have their own little sub show. So Raw has Main Event, for example, and SmackDown has Superstars, you know. You could switch things up. I remember in 2K16's My Career, you competed, when you were in the NXT phase of the My Career, you competed on Superstars. So NXT could have Superstars, SmackDown can have Velocity. Like, can you imagine like Visual Concepts like doing a modern style version of Velocity, and then Raw can have Main Event or Heat, you know. Maybe Main Event could be a little place where the mid-carders from each brand fight each other. I don't know. Or maybe you could just give us a choice of what sub-show we can have. So we can have Main Event, Heat, Superstars, etc. I do like the GM mode for this year. I do think in some areas it doesn't make sense. In some areas it does need to be refined a little more. Tag team titles are not like a focus at all in this game. You can assign tag team champions, but it's random. It's absolutely randomized. You can tell it was tacked on in a later update. Yeah, you can tell it was tacked on by a later update. And I'm not even sure if there are women's tag team. I think there are women's tag team titles in the game. There are no mid-card titles. I didn't see any United States title, 24/7, Intercontinental title, North American title. Is that the one in NXT? I don't remember. NXT UK is featured in this as well. Overall, I think it's a good general manager mode, but I do prefer SmackDown vs. Raw's. It had a little less. Also there was this news thingy. At the end of every show, you get this like social media type thing. I'm sick of the whole social media thing. I would prefer reading it on the internet. You know, like on the news for if you remember the locker room phase for SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, for example, you had your own locker room. This is something I think needs to be added as well. Yeah, I'll probably add that in before this, like maybe in the MyRISE section. But it could be cool if the locker room could serve as a, you know, a stopgap between all modes. Maybe that could be like a part of the main menu or something like that, where you know, you can put like little rewards around furniture and stuff. Make your own locker room. It was mostly an important thing in season mode in SmackDown vs. Raw. Like if you're gonna add something like that, make it mean something. That for me will always make SmackDown vs. Raw better. 2007 anyway, you had your own locker room. I thought that was so cool, and I really hope that thing returns. I doubt it has for 2K23. I doubt it is in the future, but that's something I would really like to see. But yeah, in terms of general manager mode, I think it's a good, again, like MyRISE, I think it's a good foundation and something that I hope 2K23 builds upon. Yeah, and those are my thoughts for general manager mode. Universe mode, unfortunately, is largely unchanged, which is an absolute joke in my opinion. I just do not understand how they seem to get away with this every year. You know, apparently it doesn't really matter about the developer. Yes, we have a different universe like play style now, but yeah, superstar mode to me, in terms of the description, literally just looks like you're taking control of a particular superstar, whereas classic mode is like that's actual universe mode, and it's been the exact same universe mode since SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 when it was first added. That is an absolute joke. The only minor change, like to be quite honest, is the addition of show intros, you know, doing your own transitions and stuff like that, which was added in WWE 2K17. So other than that, there is literally no change to universe mode. That is just stupid. But in my opinion, it doesn't take away from how WWE 2K22 has essentially revived the series. For me personally, even before WWE 2K20, I was growing kind of disenfranchised with the series, growing tired of basically the same game every year. Pretty much how EA Sports has been with FIFA for like a lot of time. And I felt the exact same with WWE, but with 2K22 it feels different enough, and quite different enough to, you know, warrant my soft excitement for the next game, the one that's out right now. Like, people were playing early if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I myself was going to do that, but then I really thought about it, and yeah, I think I'm making the decision to just stop pre-ordering video games now, at least ones that I'm not entirely 100% sure about, in terms of like trusting the quality of the game at launch. But I'm going to keep a close eye on it, obviously. I do plan to get 2K23, and I do think it will be pretty good. I do think it is pretty good. But I don't know. Like, I could look things up right now and people might be saying the game is hideous. I mean, I would have heard it. Like, if it was that big, I would have seen it on like thumbnails on YouTube and stuff. I've heard nothing. So I think it might be a decent game. But does it build on the foundations of 2K22? Like I said to TJ while I was playing this, like, if they refine some certain things and added a little bit more content to this game, like in the next game, we could be looking at one of the best wrestling games of all time. So time will tell if WWE 2K23 is that game. Who knows? But we'll find out obviously when I play the game this year, of course. But anyway, as for WWE 2K22, this is pretty much all I experienced. This is pretty much all I am going to experience. I will come back to it at some point, as I said earlier. I definitely think it is a very strong foundation. But will WWE 2K23 build upon that? Again, we'll see pretty soon. Anyway, it's been your boy Sly Jordy. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this review. If you guys liked it, of course, hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. Go check out my other reviews on Black Ops 3, Assassin's Creed. The last one was Yakuza 0. It didn't do the greatest. But the Saints Row, the third review's out there as well that I did a few months ago, and I am going to continue work on the Saints Row 4 review now that this is all wrapped up. So yeah guys, 2023 is going to be a very busy year, and hopefully WWE 2K23 is a big part of that on the channel. I want to come back and do more content. I only quit because I wasn't liking the games, but yeah, if 2K22 is anything to go by, 2K23 we'll see the return of your boy to doing it for YouTube content. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.
So no offer from Raw.
What the hell? These guys don't know a good superstar when they see this is my villain origin story. I'm turning heel. I'm turning heel.
They wouldn't take me, so fuck everyone.
All my life, I dealt with rejection. Well, now I'm rejecting all of you.
They told me I couldn't do it. Now look at me.
Oh my god.